All right, so I only have a little bit of time because I've got to go into work soon, but I'll kind of run through a couple basic things that might be helpful. Um, I mean, the first thing I was gonna mention was the custom AD2 map because that just like for me, keeps everything super close together, especially my kicks, snares, and hi hats, and then the toms are right here. So all the core things that I use are really close to each other. Just makes it easy to kind of do crazier stuff, I guess. So that's definitely one side of it, and then just like kind of, I mean, I know like drumming on a piano is kind of a weird thing to get used to. Like I've been playing piano for like 20 years, so my hands are just really comfortable on a piano. Um, but definitely it's something you just gotta like practice to get the physicality of it feeling comfortable and efficient. But yeah, having the map laid out like this, it makes it so much easier to do cool stuff, especially like snare rolls. And then we've got the double kicks like super close, so you can get double kicks pretty easily. I don't know if it's helpful per se, but I guess I could explain like how would you say it? Generally how my fingers, like which fingers are doing what things. So like for kicks, it's almost always my index finger is playing this main kick on C, and then the middle finger on my left hand is playing the double kick. So that just makes sense. And then I use my thumb on my left hand, usually to hit my primary snare. And then my right hand is doing the, like my index, middle, and ring finger are doing hi-hats most of the time. And then the thumb on the right hand is often what I'll use for like ghost note snares. So sometimes in the left hand, I'm using my index finger and thumb for my main snares, and then my thumb on my right hand for the ghost notes. But you can kind of experiment and find what feels comfortable. Like something like this is just double kicks with my left hand, and then doing rolls with my right hand down on the toms. And then that might be like a left hand snare with the thumb. So like even if it doesn't sound good, just practicing like rolls, just kind of random stuff like that is a really good way to kind of get your hands used to those motions, because a lot of this really is just like making sure what you're doing feels comfortable under your fingers, if that makes sense. And I would also say just start with basic little grooves, Because if you have the basic stuff feeling comfortable under your hands, then you can kind of branch out from there and start doing more complex things. So that's one big component of it. I would say another is getting really familiar with your different quantize settings and knowing when to use one option over the other. Like knowing when to use just like straight quarter notes or whatever, or as opposed to like going into some kind of a triplet feel. Like I've been doing this for a long time, so I just know generally how it feels to make, let's say, like a triplet groove. So let me just give you a quick, really basic example. So that would be like a triplet groove, right? And so that'd be something to quantize in eighth note triplets. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 dugga da dugga da dugga da dugga da. So I'm super familiar with how that kind of a triplet groove feels. And so I would know, like, if I played a groove in like that, I would know to like quantize it to eighth note triplets. That is if you want things to be like really perfect and on grid. I guess it depends on what DAW you're using, but something I do a lot is like I'll quantize my take and then use this strength thing here in Logic. If you're in Ableton, there's like you can just set the percent that it will be quantized. So you can dial that back and kind of find a nice middle ground between your initial take and then something a little more on the grid. And that way you can kind of keep that humanized element to it, if that makes sense. So I might make a simple groove like that, and then I'll use like another layer, which is another like Logic thing that just makes it really easy to do. I'm not exactly sure how you do this in other DAWs, but like I'll use layers because my Addictive drums is like routed into a bus, so I can actually record Addictive on this layer as well, and it's not running like a second instance of the plugin. It just somehow triggers it. So I'll use the second layer to add like nuances and details like ghost notes and stuff. You know what I mean? And then usually for like really quick notes, if we're in a triplet feel, you know, I'll quantize those types of things to 16th triplets. Stuff like that. So that's a way you can get more nuance and detail in what you're doing without actually having to perform all of that in one go, you know? So try experimenting with layers, and then you can always just like collapse those things, and now they're together. And suddenly we took like a basic little triplet groove and kind of added a little more like detail and interest to it, you know? So definitely start with basic grooves, get familiar with your quantize settings, and when you need to use triplets, when you need to use non-triplets, you know, like if we change this to 16th notes, non-triplets, we get a whole other feel. Which is sweet. I like that too. But yeah, getting super familiar with like those quantize settings is going to be really helpful for just helping you like get your ideas across and be more efficient and stuff. Let me think if there's anything I'm leaving out. A lot of times like I'll do like a regular kind of groove like this that's not in triplets. And then I like to do like a triplet fill on the end. So we're going from a straight rhythm to like a little triplet feel on the end, something crazy like so I know that fill is in triplets, so I'm going to change that to 16th triplets, and then let's see what that gives us. You know what I mean? So that sounds crazy, but like really just using a lot of quantization to help kind of, I don't know, just make things easier. So like for a crazy fill like that, it's just you can start slow and build up your speed, but it's actually pretty simple like under your hands. Physically it's not warping your brain, but when you play it at a higher speed like that, it just sounds really cool and really flashy, you know? Let's see what happens if we change that that fill we just did to 16th notes. Keeps it nice and straight. We could also try, let's try 30-second notes straight. That's cool too. So it's all about like knowing how much detail you put into like your parts, and then knowing which like quantize settings to use that are close, are most, what would you say, most closely aligned with the way that you actually played it. So just experiment around a lot and get super familiar with your quantize settings. That's a huge part of it. I mean, a lot of it really is just like getting comfortable with finger drumming, having a good map like this that keeps all your kit pieces like nice and close together so you can pull off cool things, and then just like a lot of experimenting and seeing what happens and messing with different quantize settings. That's I think that's the bulk of it, really. It's also going to be super helpful to just like practice along simple stuff at first. Just practice along to a metronome. But yeah, I mean, that's the gist of like my whole process. Kind of using a combination of all those different things to come up with crazy piano drum parts. And again, I definitely want to emphasize like how useful it is to like do things in layers. Like, so you might get your basic backbeat going, right? You got a nice little groove going. It's pretty simple. But then you can go in with your layer and start to add all these complexities on top of like your simple groove. And that way you kind of can take out a lot of the like physical work and brain power that would be necessary to pull off like a crazy drum part in one take, if that makes sense. So yeah, hopefully that helps in some sense. I'll try to do like a more dedicated set of educational videos on this at some point soon. But yeah, good luck, man.